Let's dive into our first story of the day. Robert Whitaker has officially spoken out about his next fight, and it's a big one. He'll be stepping into the octagon against Reinier de Ridder in a headliner bout set for UFC Abu Dhabi, happening on July 26th. This fight actually came together much faster than most fans expected. On his personal YouTube channel, Whitaker gave fans some behind-the-scenes insight into how everything unfolded. According to Rob, it all started shortly after Reinier de Ridder shocked the MMA world by finishing Bo Nickel via TKO at UFC Des Moines. That impressive performance quickly positioned de Ridder as a serious contender and caught the attention of the UFC matchmakers and, of course, Rob himself. For Whitaker, this is more than just another fight. It's a chance to bounce back from his tough submission loss to Khamzat Chimaev and put himself right back on track toward the middleweight title picture. He made it clear that he still has big ambitions in the sport and wants to make one more solid run at UFC Gold. Sharing his thoughts, Rob said, "I told my manager, have a chat with the UFC. I'm aiming for a fight around late June or early July. International Fight Week was on my radar. It's always a big event. I just wanted to get something locked in." Interestingly, at the time, Whitaker was actually targeting a clash with Sean Strickland. Given that both guys are top-tier middleweights and have never crossed paths inside the octagon, it seemed like a no-brainer matchup. But as Rob explained, the UFC came back and told him that Strickland was only just getting back into training and they weren't exactly sure when he'd be ready to compete again. However, there was another option on the table. Reinier de Ridder was healthy, in shape, and ready to go. And for Rob, that was all he needed to hear. "I was like, done. Sign me up. Let's make it happen," Rob said with a grin. But then, in typical fight game fashion, the details shifted again. Literally 4 days later, they tell me it's now the main event in Abu Dhabi on July 26th. I didn't even question what happened to the original plan. All I knew was the date worked for me, and that's all that mattered. While de Ridder isn't currently ranked in the UFC's middleweight top 10, Rob isn't taking him lightly at all. He acknowledged that de Ridder held 2 world titles in one championship, and after his dominant win over Bo Nickel, he sees him as a legitimate, high-level threat. Whitaker believes it's only a matter of time before de Ridder cracks the UFC's official rankings, and that's exactly the kind of challenge he's looking for. Rob wrapped things up by saying that he's fired up for this fight, especially knowing it's a 5-round main event. "We're 11 weeks out. I love being on a poster. My kids love it too. But more importantly, I want to get back into that win column. I've only got a couple years left in this game, and I'm chasing that fairy tale ending. Just like I saw Volk and now JDM do. I want that perfect ending. Climb back to the title, win the belt, and ride off into the sunset. That's the dream, and this is the next step toward it." Let's move on to our next story. Kamaru Usman has recently opened up about the possibility of a future showdown with none other than the current lightweight champion, Islam Makhachev. During a recent interview, Usman addressed the growing speculation surrounding a potential matchup between him and Islam. Although they both share the same manager and have a long-standing friendly relationship, Usman made it clear he wouldn't rule out stepping into the cage with the pound-for-pound king if the opportunity arises. According to Usman, the path to such a fight is beginning to take shape. He acknowledged that if he successfully gets past Joaquin Buckley in his next fight, and Islam gets the job done against Jack Della Maddalena, the stars could align for what would undoubtedly be a blockbuster clash. Usman said, "Now, with Islam stepping into the mix, it throws a little wrench into where I'm at. You see, if Buckley and I go out there and put on a statement performance, hey, I'm next. I'm right there. That's how the game works." He continued, highlighting that although their friendly bond makes the idea a bit awkward, this is the fight business, and emotions can't get in the way of opportunities. "But can I be honest with you? This is where things get a little complicated. Yeah, I'm boys with Islam, and if I'm keeping it real, I do favor Islam in his upcoming fight against JDM." He went on to say that if Islam beats JDM and Usman defeats Buckley, it's going to put them on a direct collision course, whether they like it or not. "Listen, I can already tell you're trying to make me feel uncomfortable, Kush. You're asking if we'll see the Nigerian nightmare step into the cage with Islam Makhachev. And you know what? It's one of those situations we definitely have to talk about." Usman made sure to emphasize that such a fight wouldn't come from a place of animosity. Obviously, that's a massive fight. Former pound-for-pound #1 against the current pound-for-pound #1. That's something special, and I think it would be irresponsible not to consider it. But it's different with Islam. I've got nothing but love and respect for those guys. Whether it's Islam, Khabib, or the whole team, I love them all. He even compared the situation to his past tension with Belal Muhammad, clarifying that while there was some friction there, with Islam, it's nothing but mutual respect and brotherhood. Unlike the situation with Bal, where yeah, we had our differences, I never wished him bad, but I didn't necessarily vibe with the guy either. With Islam, it's different. Referencing a famous quote from Mike Tyson, Usman added, "Remember what Mike said, Henry? Friends make friends rich." If that's the scenario, I think Islam and I are grown enough to sit down and have that conversation. Finally, Usman made his stance clear when asked directly if he'd be open to fighting Islam Makhachev. So to answer the question, would I be open to it? Yeah, why not? I don't see a reason why not. Moving on to another interesting story in the MMA world, Aljamain Sterling has shared his thoughts on Islam Makhachev's recent call-out of the newly crowned welterweight champion Jack Della Maddalena, and according to Aljo, he finds the timing and manner of Islam's approach a little off. Right after Jack Della Maddalena pulled off a stunning victory over Belal Muhammad to capture the welterweight title, Islam Makhachev wasted no time making his intentions clear. Taking to X, Islam posted, "Time to become a double champion, inshallah, let's go." He didn't stop there. He followed up by telling JDM to keep the belt clean, implying that Islam had every intention of coming for that strap next. While the message from Islam hyped up fans around the world, Aljamain Sterling took a different view, questioning the way Islam handled the situation, especially given his close ties to Belal Muhammad. Speaking on his podcast, Aljo explained his perspective, saying, "Islam Makhachev coming out of the woodworks, dropping his tweets, telling Jack to keep the belt warm, saying he's going to become double champ, inshallah. Look, I have no problem with fighters wanting to chase greatness. No issue with that at all. But here's the thing, Bal and Islam are supposed to be boys. That's what everyone says. And me and some of the guys were talking about this behind the scenes. If I just lost a title fight, the wound is fresh, the emotions are raw, and then you jump on social media and call your shot like that without even mentioning your so-called brother, no message of respect, no hope you're okay, no great performance, nothing. It just came across cold. Like, are they really boys? Because to me, that didn't look like something a close friend would do." Aljo even added that if the roles were reversed and Belal had done that to Islam, the whole Team Dagestan crew would probably look at him sideways. You know that little side-eye emoji? Yeah, that's how they would have been looking at Belal. Or like 50 Cent says, "Get the strap" look. Sterling admitted the whole situation added an extra layer of drama to what has already been a wild sequence of events in the welterweight division. Meanwhile, Islam's longtime coach Javier Mendez shared his take on the potential Islam versus JDM fight during an appearance on Submission Radio. Mendez made it clear that he has full confidence in Islam's ability to handle Jack Della Maddalena, both on the feet and on the ground. "Islam's a different breed," Mendez said. "Jack has never faced anyone like him. If this fight happens, I promise you're going to see Islam at his absolute best. And look, the weight isn't even that big of a deal for Islam. He'll be a strong, capable welterweight. He can dictate the fight wherever he wants. He can absolutely take Jack down, and yes, I believe he could even outstrike Jack if he wanted to. But whether that's the smartest move, maybe not. The smart thing would be to do what Belal didn't do, and Islam will do it because he listens." Jon Jones has once again fired back at critics who claim he's ducking Tom Aspinall, and as always, Jon did it in his own unapologetic style. During an Instagram live session, Jones addressed the chatter flooding his comments, where fans were accusing him of avoiding a showdown with the interim heavyweight champion, Tom Aspinall. Jones responded bluntly, saying, "I got people in the chat calling me a duck. Meanwhile, I'm living my absolute best life. I don't know if it's considered ducking when you're living good. I don't think it works like that." Jones seemed completely unbothered by the noise, focusing instead on his current recovery and lifestyle. For those who might not be aware, Jones is still rehabbing from the pectoral injury that forced him out of his title defense against Stipe Miocic last year. Despite the growing pressure from fans and fighters alike to face Tom Aspinall, Jones has remained laser focused on his plan to fight Miocic upon his return, and after that, he's hinted at retirement. While many fans want to see Jones take on the young and dangerous Aspinall, Jon insists he's earned the right to choose his path at this stage of his legendary career. People can say what they want, Jones continued. I'm still the king of this game. Nobody's done what I've done, and if I want to fight Stipe and ride off into the sunset, that's my choice. Shifting gears to the welterweight division, Jack Della Maddalena isn't holding back his confidence when it comes to a potential clash with Islam Makhachev. During a recent appearance on the Ariel Helwani show, Jack addressed Islam's public call-out for a super fight at 170 pounds, and the Australian didn't mince his words. Jack believes not only would he welcome the fight, but he's confident he has the tools to finish Islam Makhachev inside the octagon. I'm sure a lot of people are going to assume that Islam will just come in, take me down, submit me pretty quickly, Jack said. And look, he's a big guy. I think he'll handle the weight just fine. But honestly, I think it'll probably be one fight and then he'll have to go back down to lightweight. I believe I could take him out. Jack pointed out that Belal Muhammad, his recent opponent, fought in a way that allowed him to control the pace. But Islam might be a different challenge altogether. However, Jack still sees a clear path to victory. I think Belal changes stances a lot, just kind of marches forward, but with someone like Islam, who tends to stay in the same stance, I think I can land a lot of clean shots. I really don't think Islam is that good of a striker. I think I could land on him and hurt him badly, and even if he does get me down, I back myself to get back to my feet and keep fighting. Jack Della Maddalena remains confident and focused as the welterweight division braces for what could become a massive champion versus champion showdown. Dana White announces blockbuster fights for UFC 317 and UFC 319. The UFC president Dana White has once again sent shockwaves through the MMA world, revealing a string of massive fights during a surprise Instagram live session that has the entire fight community buzzing with excitement. First up, Dana dropped the bombshell that current lightweight king Islam Makhachev will officially vacate his 155-pound title to move up to the welterweight division. Makhachev will now challenge newly crowned welterweight champion Jack Della Maddalena for the 170-pound belt in what promises to be one of the biggest super fights of the year. The two champions will collide at UFC 317, which is scheduled for International Fight Week on June 28th, an event already shaping up to be one of the most stacked cards in recent memory. With Makhachev leaving the lightweight throne vacant, the UFC wasted no time in booking a fight for the now up for grabs 155-pound championship. Stepping into that slot will be undefeated former featherweight champion Ilia Topuria, who vacated his featherweight title just days ago, as he now sets his sights on capturing lightweight gold. Topuria will square off against none other than former lightweight champion and current number 2 contender Charles Oliveira. This epic showdown will also take place at UFC 317, meaning fans are in for a doubleheader of title fights that could reshape the entire lightweight and welterweight landscape. But that's not all. Also added to the blockbuster UFC 317 card is a flyweight title fight as reigning champion Alexandre Pantoja puts his belt on the line against the always dangerous Kai Kara of France. Pantoja, who has looked dominant in his recent outings, will be looking to fend off the surging contender from New Zealand, who is desperate to finally capture UFC gold after coming up short in previous attempts. Looking further ahead, Dana White confirmed the long-anticipated details for UFC 319, which will mark the UFC's triumphant return to the United Center in Chicago, Illinois on August 16, the first event in the Windy City in over 6 years. The main event for UFC 319 will see middleweight champion Dricus du Plessis defend his belt against the undefeated wrecking machine Khamzat Chimaev. This is the fight fans have been begging for, and now it's officially set. Dricus, who has been on an absolute tear through the middleweight division, holds wins over some of the division's greatest names, including Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, and Robert Whitaker. With an incredible record of 23 wins, only 2 losses, and 20 finishes, Dricus has not tasted defeat in over 7 years, and now faces arguably his most dangerous opponent to date. Khamzat Chimaev, still undefeated at 16-0, has bulldozed his way through both the welterweight and middleweight divisions, earning his shot at the title through sheer dominance and relentless pressure. Many believe this will be the ultimate test for both men, with Chimaev's smothering wrestling and violent pace clashing against Du Plessis' iron will, knockout power, and unbreakable spirit. "This is a bad fight," Dana White said during the announcement. "This is the one you've all been waiting for. Dricus is on a historic run. Khamzat is a monster who destroys everyone in his path, and now they're finally going to meet at UFC 319 in Chicago." Finally, Dana also addressed the ongoing speculation surrounding Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. While the super fight between the reigning heavyweight champion and the interim title holder is still without a date, White reassured fans that the fight is still very much in the works. Despite the delays due to Jones's injury recovery, Dana remains confident that the two heavyweight stars will eventually settle their differences inside the octagon. Jones versus Aspinall? We're still working on it. That fight will happen, Dana stated firmly. It's a matter of timing, but both guys want it, and when Jon is ready, we'll make it happen. With these announcements, the second half of 2025 is already shaping up to be one of the most exciting periods in recent UFC history, with title fights across multiple divisions, super fights, and grudge matches set to captivate fans around the world. Stay tuned for further updates as the UFC promises more fight announcements in the coming weeks.